Speaking of Hamas in Gaza, many human rights organizations and various other officials are now condemning the Hamas terror organization for its wave of violent arrests and crackdowns in response to several days of anti-Hamas protests. And over 600 demonstrators, journalists, political rivals, activists, and more have already been arrested by the Gazan terror group. But as the protests continue to devolve, with Ramallah fanning the flames, the primary worry in Israel is how will this all spill over, as it almost always does. Well, here with more is the former head of Israeli Air Force intelligence and candidate for the Knesset with the Kulanu party, Brigadier General Shmueli. Brigadier General, thank you so much for coming in again.
Shalom from Israel.
All right, so first of all, do you believe that the issues in Gaza right now will spill over, will translate into violence against Israel, as it often does?
You know, I try to imagine our audience, to build a picture what's happening in this area and what is the mess and who is against who. So some facts, very, very short. First of all, there are rockets that are launching from Gaza Strip toward Israel. Secondly, the people in Gaza Strip are fighting one another, Hamas and the Fatah, who are the party from the Judea and Samaria.
What about the Palestinian Islamic Jihad? Where do they fit in?
The Islamic Jihad, it is the Iranian influence that try to make some problems among the people. So those forces, once against another, sometimes if they want to use the flame against us, so they launch a rocket or some balloons with ammunition. So in that regard, those people, we are talking about the Palestinian people. This is not one nation. This is the nation in Judea and Samaria, and there is the nation in Gaza Strip. This is why we have to address them very clearly. On one hand, to retaliate very strongly, like we have done last week when they launched 2 rockets toward Tel Aviv.
So I was actually just going to ask about that. Would you then agree with the handling of that situation by not maybe going into a full-scale war or a ground invasion, or maybe just limiting the reaction to the rocket attacks over the weekend? Do you agree with that response, or do you think it should have been harsher?
We are in election time, and in election time I agree with this response. Nevertheless, I think that if there is need, we can conquer the Gaza Strip. This is not our dreams, but we can do it. And we can overwhelm the regime of Hamas, which is a terrorist regime. So the issue is not what to do now in the next 3 weeks. I'm running for election in Kulanu party and with the Treasury Minister Moshe Kahlon. This is not the issue now. Now we have to run the elections. But after the elections, I think that the question is not tactical. It's a strategic question. There are a lot of stakeholders in the region. The Egyptian, they want a rest in Gaza in order to prevent any kind of flames that will go to the extremists in Egypt. The Saudis, they want to make peace and to strengthen the Sunnis part. The Israelis, we want peace with this Gaza Strip. I want to remind our audience, we are not in Gaza Strip anymore.
No, we left in 2005.
Well, yes, and they still launch rocket against us. The Americans, of course, they want to make the deal, the famous deal of Trump, the Jordanian and the Palestinian, the other nation, the Palestinian in Gaza, in Judea and Samaria. So all of those stakeholders have to sit together and think, what is the dream of 10 years ahead? How we can plan a strategic plan for the Gazan people, in order to make some hope, some prosperity in this place. And my party is always, on one hand, we are against a Palestinian state in Judea and Samaria, but we are always very open to help the people in economic measures. And this is what we do. As long as they cooperate with us, we can help them economically. But if they attack us, we are building an iron wall against them.
All right. Well, with that, unfortunately, we have to call an end to this interview. But Brigadier General Shmueli, thank you so much, as always, for coming in and sharing your insights with us.
Thank you.